the India-ASEAN event, and as Dr. Mitra rightly said, I think this is the first time after the agreement was implemented, which is the India-ASEAN Trade and Goods Agreement, which got implemented from 1st January 2010. As of now, 8 of the ASEAN countries of the 10 have in fact notified. India has of course done it. The only 2 remaining ones are Philippines and Cambodia, but that is largely because of legislative issues. The Philippines has seen a government change, so hopefully that would come through. But this is the first occasion when after this there is such a huge event in India, and all of you might be aware that Ministry of Commerce has embarked on this initiative of what has been called the India Show, which is basically to showcase the best of India across fields, whether it's trade, in goods and services, whether it's investment opportunities, culture, cuisine, food, you name it. And it's a mixture. We've had quite a few of these overseas. We started off first in Dubai, we've had Johannesburg, we've had Singapore, we've had Turkey, and we've had 1 or 2 in India as well. But in one sense, this is unique. This is the first such India show which involves more than one bilateral country. So far we've done it with a particular individual country. So to that extent, it becomes, I think, far more unique and important. Second, I think the importance of this region. Our Look-East policy is known both strategically and economically. We all know where the growth curve is now, and you have, I don't need to repeat, you have every time you open a magazine or a newspaper, you have the economic center of power shifting, and certainly one of that centers of power is ASEAN, and to that extent, India-ASEAN economic relationships gathers that much more importance and momentum. And I think the idea again of doing this is to bring everyone together, whether it's government, whether it's business, so that you have, as rightly Dr. Mitra said, the right synergies. So you have 3 aspects to this India show. One, of course, is the exhibition, where both you would have exhibitors from India as well as from the 10 ASEAN countries, which is again unique. Normally, in other cases, it's been India exhibiting. So it's all 11 countries getting an opportunity to exhibit their wares. And obviously, when you do that, you have a lot of business-to-business interaction as well. The second is, of course, to get the captains of trade and industry from across the 11 countries in different kind of platforms, whether it's the inaugural business seminar, and you have a host of sessions. I'm sure the program later on, of course, Manju will give it to you, basically. And then you have the India-ASEAN Business Fair, the Business Conclave, and then the soft power of India, which is not to be forgotten. The culture, the cuisine, the food, and so on. That is why ICCR is also there. So that's really the structure. The idea, of course, is that in the entire gamut of trade and economic relationships, there is a much better appreciation now. And I was just looking at the figures before I came, and if one looks at the calendar year figures, the India-ASEAN trade, if you look at the total trade, in 2009, if one takes the calendar year, it was basically around 41 billion. We've reached $50 billion in 2010. I'm talking of the calendar year.
41 billion.
41 billion. And 2010, it's just over $50 billion. So, and remember, this is the first year, in a sense, of the agreement. It's not even a year because many of the ASEAN countries, because of the legislative changes involved, have during the course of 2010 actually notified their tariff liberalization schedules, and we have followed correspondingly. So it's only been, everyone knew that 9 was a bad year. 2009 in some sense was an aberration because of the global recession, but we are back on track in 2010, and hopefully 2011 and onwards would be much better. We hope to take this trade to about $70 billion in a couple of years, in 3 years in fact. So from around, should be doable. In fact, if the trends continue, we should be able to probably exceed that. That's one side of the story. Equally important is, I think, the two-way flow of investments. And the third aspect, which is not to be forgotten, the increasing movement of people, whether it's for business, whether it's for tourism, whether it's for education. Again, so much is now happening within ASEAN. Earlier you were only looking towards the West, but now you have so many students, for example, going to Singapore. Malaysia has been placing itself as an education hub, and increasingly there are people going into Malaysia for doing various kinds of courses as well. So people-to-people interaction, trade and investment are really the three pillars of this. Hopefully this will also provide one more opportunity, both for businesses and governments, both individually and collectively, to try and see what more opportunities are there in each other's country, so that over the years you can take this relationship to a new momentum. I think I'll stop here, and maybe if you have any questions.